What up, world? What up, world? What up, world? What up, world? This is your main man. I am DJ Double Dose Man coming at you once again with another episode of Double Dose of Reality Sports, man. And we are back, man, fresh off of vacay. Shout out to the country, city, town of Panama City, Panama. Enjoyed myself, had an amazing time on my vacation, man. That's why you really didn't hear from me last week. I ain't really have much to say when I got back. I missed a few of the games, man, but we are back. We are back up in the building, man. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy belated Thanksgiving to everybody, man. I hope you got to see your family, man. I hope you got to enjoy the food, enjoy the family, just enjoy everything that comes along with Thanksgiving, because y'all always trying to skip over Thanksgiving and go straight to Christmas. I don't know why. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate the fellowship, man. Appreciate everything, man. But you read the caption, man. Rivalry week. It never, ever, ever disappoints people. This is why, even though it is the very last week of the season, it is why you need to make sure that your ass is in your seat and you are locked and you are loaded, because this thing kicked off all the way on Thursday with Tulane falling to Memphis. That had playoff implications, whether you care to know about it or not. It did. Then on Friday night, we was all up until the wee hours of the morning as we watched Georgia Tech go blow for blow for blow for blow with Georgia. My only advice to Georgia Tech is this: hindsight is 2020. Don't want to be Monday morning quarterback. However, I will say I think you guys should have went for two when you had the opportunity to end it. You knew your secondary was banged up. You knew you was minus a lot of people. But the game was entertaining. Let's talk about that. We're going to start there, and then we'll continue on. The one thing that I enjoyed most about watching Georgia Tech and Georgia, it was simple. Kirby found a way. I know that's not a hot take, but it's the truth. Georgia found a way. We can say what we want to say about if Georgia Tech should have did this, if Georgia Tech should have did this. We can pat Georgia Tech on the back all we want. But in the end, the heart of a champion came through. Carson Beck has looked okay over the last, you know what? No, damn it. I'm not gonna say okay. I ain't gonna disrespect him like that. Carson Beck has looked good over the last couple of weeks. You know, he had a stretch where he was turning the ball over left and right. And he's looked good over the last few weeks. Well, last couple of weeks. He's looked good. And my thing I want to say about Georgia is we can knock Georgia for the things that they are not. We can knock Georgia for saying that they do not look how they once looked a few years ago. But the one thing you can't say about Georgia is that they don't quit. Even in that loss to Alabama, they were down and they came back. Even in this situation, they found themselves in a mess with Georgia Tech. When it all came down to it, they pulled out the victory. And that is what set off Rivalry Week. Now, before we get to the comedy hour, we'll get to that in a minute. Because that really wasn't a rivalry game. They just went up there and choked. The hurt. They took. Oh, I'm sorry. Miami choked away their chance to play for the ACC. Let me look straight into the camera. Let me sit up. And let's talk about it. The game. But as we talk about the game. And those of you know what the game is, unless you were sleeping under a rock, that would be Ohio State versus Michigan. Let's just pull it up. Let's pull it up. Let me share my screen, and we're gonna all look at this together. For those of you who may was watching something else because it had your interest, that's cool. But let's pull it up. Okay. So you see the final score, 13-10. Now, somebody would look at that and they would say it was a tough game. It was a hard-fought rivalry game. It was the game. It's supposed to be rugged, rough. Okay. However, in this particular season, all of those things are not true to be said. Michigan limped into this game. Literally limped into this game. 6-5. They came out 7-5. But that's not even the story of the game. That's not even the story of the game. The story of the game is they were missing not one, but their two best players on opposite sides of the ball. They were missing Lovely, their best offensive player all season. I know Donovan Edwards is there, but Loveland has been their best offensive player. Will Johnson, first round draft pick, that's probably going to be the first cornerback outside of Travis, depending on how you figure he's going to get drafted. Probably going to be the first or second cornerback taken off the board. They were missing him too. In a game against Ohio State with Jeremiah Smith, Mecca Abuka, Carnell Tate, the list goes on and on and on about what Ohio State has at the wide receiver position. And Michigan was missing their best corner. What did Ohio State do? Well, let's look. Will Howard, buddy, I just, man, some of your decision making, Will Howard, in certain moments, it is absolutely terrible. You threw not one but two untimely picks in the red zone that had absolutely, like, what were you thinking, brother? What were you thinking? Both of your picks was terrible. Not to mention, for whatever reason, we all know what Michigan's strength is. Everybody knows what Michigan's strength is. Everybody knows this. I'm sure Ryan Day knows this. He gets paid to know these things. Michigan's front seven is top tier. Has been top tier all season long. They're missing their number one cornerback. This should have been, I'll take it off the screen. This should have been a heavy Jeremiah Smith game. A heavy Emeka Abuka game. Don't play around with Michigan. Put them out their misery. Add that thing out. Was it cold? Yes. But you were at home. There's a number that Ohio State can reach that Michigan's ineptitude on offense that Michigan cannot reach. That they could not reach. And instead of you coming out there, all gas, no brakes, taking care of business and putting it up to that number, you mess around and you got in the mud with them. And when you got in the mud with them, you saw what happened. And for those of you who don't understand exactly what I mean, Michigan did absolutely nothing to win this game. Ohio State did everything in their power to lose it. You know why I say those things? Let's talk about it. Davis Warren, their quarterback, 9 for 16, 62 yards, 2 interceptions, no touchdowns. Mullings, their running back, their leading rusher, he ran for 116 yards and a touchdown. He did it on 32 carries, which means he was not efficient. As a team, Michigan ran the ball 41 times, 173 yards. That averages out to 4.2 yards a carry. That is not good. But guess what? Ohio State was worse. They ran the ball 26 times for 77 yards and averaged 3 yards a carry. It's not shocking because we know how good Michigan's defense is, their front seven. So when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, listen, I think Ryan Day is a good coach. I think he's a damn good coach. But I'm going to tell you something, Ryan Day. If you going to win a national championship with what your collective and everybody that quote unquote had your back this season coming into the season, this is championship or bust. I do not think that they would be bold enough to pull the trigger because, I mean, who are you going to get at this? I'll put it to you like this. The only reason why Ryan Day still has a job right now after losing is, number one, because they still have a shot for the playoffs. And number two, who are you going to get at this time? I think that's literally the only reason why Ryan Day still has a job. You've lost to Michigan 4 years in a row. Michigan didn't do shit to win that game. You lost that game. You had the better roster. You had more talent. But you screwed around. And you lost. Now, those of you who feel like, you know, playing in a championship game now doesn't matter, because Ohio State's still going to make the playoffs at 10-2. They're still going to make it at 10-2. I feel, especially with the way the SEC winded up beating themselves up, and then we'll talk about that in a second, with Miami choking, they're still going to make the playoff. But you had a golden opportunity in front of you to not only snap the losing streak, to just straight up embarrass Michigan. You were at home. That's a wounded team that was missing both of their best players. And you blew that opportunity. I mean, it's not going to come back to bite you in the grand scheme of things because you're still going to make the playoffs. But Ryan Day, I'm going to tell you like this. As people will say, count your days, my brother. Because if you don't win it all, which, again, you have enough talent. I know the way college football has gone this season, listen, anybody who, if you make it into this playoff, everybody has a chance to win the whole thing. Nobody has been completely dominant, unless you just want to say Oregon, okay, cool. Outside of them, the other 11 teams that make it, nobody's been just like flat out dominant. So if you make it in, you legitimately have a chance. I know people don't want to admit Indiana has a chance, but they do. Anyway, moving right along. Can I get a hand clap? Can I get a standing ovation for the biggest choke artist in the world? Right hand, left hand. I'm the Miami Hurricanes. I had everything on my plate. And I fucking blew it. I know some people will sit here and say, Ben, you are a Miami hater. I might be. I might be. But I told y'all a couple weeks ago when I went off about all this fake love that they was getting. I said, hey, hold up now. Who have they beat? I said, hold up now. What have the Miami Hurricanes done in context of this season? I said these things. And when everything was right in the palm of their hands, all they had to do was go up to Syracuse and win. You had all-world Cam Ward. You had Restrepo. You had the better team. You had a 21-point lead. A 21-point lead on the road in the Carrier Dome. You had that. So not only did you lose, you lost in a way you hadn't lost all season because you've been playing with your food all season. But you actually had a significant lead. All for it to result in you ending up taking an L. And for the most part, I don't want to say you're done. I got to get on. Even though in my normal life, outside of this lovely show that you guys tune in to week, in my normal life, in my normal trolling life, you guys are done. But in the context of being professional and being actually speaking on things that, that make sense, because again, there are people that watch this show that don't know me in my real life, that know me just because of the show. In the context of that, Miami is not done. Now, do I think that Miami makes the playoffs? No, I do not. Somebody would push back and say, well, Ben, they're 10-2. Why do you say that they won't? Okay, let me give you an intelligent answer as to why I say they will not. Who has Miami beat? I'm going to take a sip. I'm going to give a moment of silence while y'all try to figure out who they beat. Since we need context to that, I took the moment. Let's just pull it up. Let's pull it up. Okay, I'm gonna bring it to the screen. We're gonna present it. Just so we can make sure that we have context and not just being quote unquote a hater. Let's make sure we got context. Let's make sure we got context. Who did they beat? Who on this list was ranked? Let's see. Florida. The version of Florida that you see right now was not the version that Miami faced in opening week. All right. Okay, cool. Florida was not ranked. FAMU was not ranked. Ball State was not ranked. It's going to be a theme here. South Florida was not ranked. Virginia Tech got bailed out, was not ranked. Only won 38-34. Cal, they finished, what did Cal finish? Florida State was last. Stanford, they finished almost, let's count it up. 1, 2, 3. But we were 17, so 16. They finished 14th in the ACC, and you only beat them 39-38. Okay, was not ranked. Louisville. Now, with Louisville, I'm not sure. I don't think they were ranked when y'all faced them. But you know what? Just for argument's sake, I give you Louisville, but I don't think they were ranked. Continue on. Florida State was not ranked. Duke, by the time y'all faced them, they might have been ranked. Not sure. Don't think so. Duke. Then you lost to Georgia Tech, beat Wake Forest, and then you lost to Syracuse. So in the last 3 weeks, you have effectively lost 2 of your last 3 games. Both teams that you lost to was unranked. When they put your resume up next to a 9-3 Alabama, I hate to break it to y'all, we already know how much the committee loves Alabama. Alabama beat Georgia. Alabama beat LSU. you don't have an LSU. Let me say this because I'm gonna make sure I pin this. Miami, when they put your resume up against a 10-2 Miami, against a 9-3 Alabama, when they put it in context, Alabama has beaten Georgia, who's playing for the SEC title. They have beaten LSU, who at the time was ranked. Alabama has also beaten the hottest team in the nation right now, one of the hottest teams in the nation right now, in South Carolina. They've beaten them too. Miami, you don't have anybody on your schedule that you have beaten that could compare to Georgia, LSU, or South Carolina. So when the rubber meets the road, if they have to decide between a 9-3 Alabama and a 10-2 Miami with not one, but two unranked losses and no quality opponent compared to that, you will be sitting at home watching the playoffs while you head to the Tony the Tiger, Minor Key, whatever kind of bowl there is. And that, my friends, is Miami football wrapped up in one whop. Their best season, they spent all the money in the world only to finish 10-2 with absolutely nothing to show for it. You stay classy, Corey Gables. You stay classy, Miami. Salute. Had to get that off my chest. That was the professional version of me. The real version of me, hey man, I'm glad I'm all of that shit y'all was talking for absolutely to amount to nothing. Absolutely nothing. Y'all gave us hell. Oh, y'all went 13-0. Oh, y'all didn't win. At the end of the day, Mike Norvell's best season resulted in him going 13-0 in the regular season, winning the ACC, and getting screwed out the playoffs. Mario's best season resulted in 10-2, no undefeated, no ACC title, not even an opportunity to play for it. That's the difference between your coach and mine. And you can holler, oh, Mario will never go to. I don't give a fuck. He clearly can't win the ACC. Mine's king. And before I march off of this podcast, I went and I watched the Iron Bowl as I do yearly. I watched it with my pops. And when me and my pops sat down, I poured myself a drink. Mom's was cooking. Me and my dad, we went in the den and we sat down and we started watching the game. And for a split second there, small second, Auburn looked okay. And then Auburn didn't look okay. And Alabama proceeded to put belt to ass, and thus the Iron Bowl became what it has become for the last 5 years. Some of my real good friends are Auburn fans. They really are. And man, I wanted y'all to pull that out, but it went in the cards, man. Alabama beats Auburn in the Iron Bowl for the 5th straight year. Woo! It's going under the radar because it's not being talked about a lot. But 5 in a row is 5 in a row. And it's not being talked about a lot. And I think that Alabama knew what they needed to do. And despite the season going the way that it has gone, they went into the Iron Bowl and they took care of business. And if you're Alabama, you put yourself in a nice position because although Tennessee did win, we're going to pivot now to the playoff talk. Although Tennessee did win, Alabama set themselves up nice because let's talk real talk for a second. The Big Ten and the SEC both want 4 teams in. The Big Ten, for all intents and purposes, have their 4 teams in. Oregon, Penn State, Indiana, Ohio State. They're all going. Right now, the SEC has 3 and a possible. The 3, Georgia, Texas, Tennessee. The possible is Alabama. So let's play it all the way out. Let's play it all the way out right here. Let's play it all the way out. You got the Big Ten is going to have Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, Indiana. That's 4. The SEC is going to have Georgia, Texas, Tennessee. That's 7. You got the Big 12 winner. That's 8. You got Notre Dame. That's 9. You got the ACC winner. That's 10. And then you got Boise or UNLV or whomever they beat. That's going to be 11. That last spot is going to come down to, do they let 2 ACC teams in? There's a scenario that happens. Or do they put Alabama in? I got something to tell y'all. The only way that Alabama doesn't get in is if Clemson wins the ACC. If Clemson wins the ACC, then they will put Clemson, obviously, because they won the ACC, and SMU in, and Alabama will be left out. But if SMU wins the ACC, I'm here to tell you people, Miami fans, I don't know what else to tell you other than between Alabama, South Carolina, and Miami, when they start comparing that resume, more than likely, they're going to select Alabama in that position. I don't see how they don't do it. If they don't, I would be very, very surprised. Because when you compare resumes, although Alabama has 3 losses and Miami has 2, that resume of who Alabama beat versus who Miami beat, the games on the field at some point have to matter. I know somebody argue with me and tell me that the losses matter too. They matter. But it also matters, especially when you're trying to get, quote unquote, the 12 best teams in. It also matters who you beat. It also matters who you beat. Not to mention, money has a lot to do with all of this. Money, branding, all of that matters. So keep all of that in your mind when you get ready for next Sunday, because we're gonna do a whole championship game preview. I don't know if I'm gonna do that live or not, but we're gonna do a whole championship game preview in the next episode. But keep all of that in mind when you are thinking about the 12-team playoff as on this face value. Branding matters. And although Alabama hasn't had the best season, they've had it, but even at 9-3, they've had a better season than a 10-2 Miami. The only reason why I will say they would take, and even SMU was going to be tough, but I still think that they would take SMU over Alabama only because SMU was playing in the championship game. It's the only reason why I feel like if Clemson wins, that would be the back door that keeps Alabama out if Clemson wins. And because the ACC plays at night, that's literally going to be probably the last game that we watch. So Saturday, we're going to have to be tuned in, locked in the whole nine. All my Alabama fans, listen, I appreciate all of y'all for rocking with the show. Look, I like y'all, man. This season has not been one of the best seasons that you guys have had, but it's been a very interesting one. And before I go, man, FSU made a hire. I've gotten a lot. A lot of people hit me up and like, Ben, what you think about it? I'm gonna say it right here on wax because that's what I do. I mean, this is what I get paid to do, so that's what I do. Gus Malzahn, because I live in the state of Alabama, that's where I live. I'm not an Alabama nor an Auburn fan. However, I watch the Iron Bowl religiously because my friends and my family, they have rooting interests on both sides. And it's a good time for me to fellowship. And hell, I live in the state, so I'm going to watch it regardless. So I've watched Gus win Iron Bowls against Nick Saban. I've watched Gus blow Iron Bowls against Nick Saban. I watched FSU beat Gus in a national championship game. So for me, I think it's a home run hire. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you two reasons why. I can give you three. I can give you quite a few. But Gus knows how to call plays. Would I like Gus to be my head coach? That's a conversation for another day. But if all Gus has to do is focus on recruiting and calling plays, I trust that. I've seen this man frustrate Nick Saban, the greatest coach of all, arguably, depending on who you ask. I've seen this man frustrate Nick Saban to no end. I have seen Auburn always compete. A lot of those Iron Bowls when Gus was there, a lot of them wasn't blowouts. Auburn was competitive in a lot of those games. Now, somebody could say the 13th season, they got, hey, man, I don't care about that shit. Did they get to the national championship game or not? And they did. Looking at the stats and everything, his lowest recruiting class while he was at Auburn was 12. Look at what Mike has done. Just saying. And not to mention, in this time frame, he's been in Central Florida. So by him being in Central Florida in this time frame, he's recruited the state. And he's had to recruit the state against FSU, against Miami, against Florida, against FAU, against FIU. And he's recruited the state. Gus knows how to put points on the board. So if you an FSU fan and you're not excited about this hire, I don't know. Listen, I know we all wanted Buddy from UNLV, Marion, with the go-go offense. But in week 4, if that go-go offense wasn't doing shit, y'all all would have been like, why we didn't get a more experienced coordinator? Why we didn't do this? Because at the end of the day, he's doing what he's doing at UNLV, but we've seen Gus do things on the big stage in the biggest conference. We wanted somebody with experience that could recruit. So we got him. You can't knock it. It's a good hire. So I have nothing but respect for Mike Norvell, and it's already been said. They've already put it out there now. Pete Thamel already reported it. It's a wrap. Mike ain't calling plays no more. Gus ain't coming here to not call plays. So for those of you who want to know what the offense is going to look like next year, Pete Thamel done already told you. Gus will be the primary play caller. So I said all that to say, listen, man, believe it or not, we still got almost a month and a half left of college football because the championship game is not until the middle of January. And it is December 1st as I'm recording this. So enjoy, man. Thank y'all for rocking with me throughout the season, man. I appreciate y'all, man. And look, live, laugh, and love, man. Especially during this holiday season. It's on my heart to tell each and every one of you. This has been put on my heart, and I want to say this, especially for those that have made it all the way to this mark. Love your family that you have. Love the people that you consider family. Love on them in this time. And be mindful and respectful of the people around you who may not have the same type of family unit that you have. Because the holidays is hard. So just if you ever listen to me to the end of my show, this is one of those times where you need to listen again. Live, laugh, and love, man. Live your life to the fullest. Love on the people that love you back, and find you something to laugh at each and every day. And I'm out.